Constantine Anthony, followed by Tamala Takahashi.
2 weeks ago, LA City Council passed a resolution. It was a long time in coming. Some people were against it, but I think it passed 14-1 was the final tally. So with that in mind, I will dedicate this presentation to the gentleman on the wall behind the vice mayor with the headdress. In 1492,
I'm Eugene Pollan, and I represent the Burbank Indivisible group. And basically, I want to follow up what Constantine said, is that Columbus does not represent the values and ideals of America.
I believe, and the last item was Indigenous Peoples Day. I have no problem putting that on the agenda for a discussion for a resolution. I think it could be a very interesting discussion. So if the council will join me in saying, sure, let's put it on for a discussion and the preparation of a resolution, I think that would be just fine.
I agree. I think that the Indigenous Peoples Day should be a future agenda item.
I'm in full agreement with the resolution as well, with my colleagues.
Indigenous peoples discussion.
I understand you'd like to bring it back. It's just not agendized, so it's a little bit awkward.
May we please put Indigenous Peoples Day on our next agenda for discussion?
Didn't we ask for that and get it last week? Or at the last meeting?
Will it be on next time? Because it's coming up. Columbus Day, right?
I guess I didn't have in mind that you wanted it changed this year, so before. So you wanted it brought on to change. But usually we don't rush, so I was...
You're too used to that government work, son.
I apologize. It's getting to be a habit that I work for government. Happy to do that. We'll accelerate it. The library's working on it, so we'll get it done.
Thank you.
Okay.
I know later today on item number 9, we're going to be discussing whether to, what we want to do for October 9th for Columbus Day, to either recognize it as Indigenous Peoples Day or do something else. It is moving very well across the country and in many parts of the United States. People are recognizing that, people who were here first maybe need a little bit more recognition than what we've been giving them.
We have now consideration of recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day in Burbank.
Just about a month ago, the Los Angeles City Council voted 14-1 to approve the creation of Indigenous Peoples Day. That move has resulted in several other councils in the region, including Burbank, deciding to bring up the subject for discussion locally. Indigenous Peoples Day as a holiday in the United States has existed for about 25 years, but has been gathering steam in the last 2 years, with about 35 cities across the country now observing it. In most cases, Indigenous Peoples Day replaces Columbus Day, a holiday with a complicated legacy. When Christopher Columbus launched a sustained wave of aggressive European exploration of the Americas more than 500 years ago, he started a chain of actions that ultimately led to the creation of the United States, making him a significant historical figure.
Anyone else? Sharon.
I support Indigenous Peoples Day, not as an official holiday with the closure of offices, but I feel like it would give us an opportunity to recognize, our native inhabitants, and because to be honest, I'm really pretty unaware of them, and I've grown up, since I was a little kid, commemorating Columbus Day. As the one who discovered America, and really he didn't. It was already inhabited by many people, and the native people on the islands where Columbus landed were just virtually wiped out, and he took them as slaves back to Spain. And I feel like it's time to give the indigenous people a chance. Columbus had the day for 500 years, so I think we should recognize the indigenous people and what they went through.
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
That's a motion. Okay.
Okay, so you've got a motion and a second. Yes.
Are you suggesting that the name be applied to the second Monday of October and replace Columbus Day?
Yes.
Thank you. Then the First Nations in this country were actually decimated very early on in the 15th century, first from disease, and later because of a deliberate policy of the federal government to remove Native Americans from their lands into areas that they wasn't even part of their tradition. I think about that, and I think about how we as a country have grown so much without getting too corny about it or too liberal, left-wing, fuzzy-wuzzy. I think it's a fitting and much belated tribute that probably could only happen in this generation. So I'm going to support it.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Telemontes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, and it's not that I'm against it, it's just that I'm confused because we have a Native American Day already that's already designated the 4th Friday of September. So are we putting the motion, what the motion states, in place of the Native American Day? Are we acknowledging that?
Yeah, I think you missed her definition of
explain it to me,
indigenous peoples are not the same as Native Americans or American Indians or
so we're celebrating everybody
wherever.
around the world that's different.
Actually the contrary. That's not different.
Well,
they're indigenous. They're indigenous to where they're living. This is just so much silly talk.
Too liberal, left-wing, fuzzy-wuzzy.
I'm going to call for a vote here from the city clerk. Let's run it up the flagpole.
Councilmember Springer? Yes. Mayor Rogers?
Yes.
Councilmember Frutos?
No, not enough information.
Thank you. Councilmember Telemontes?
No.
Vice Mayor Gabel-Luddy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oof. That was skinny close.
Too liberal, left-wing, fuzzy-wuzzy.